When we think of magnificent ancient sites, Egypt, Easter Island, or maybe Peru usually come to mind. And honestly, it makes sense. But what if we told you that one of the most perplexing ancient places on Earth isn't in any of those countries? It's Turkey. Hidden across its rugged landscape are ancient structures that defy all logical explanation. Monuments so massive, so precise, they seem beyond the abilities of the people who built them. Enormous stone blocks, intricate carvings, and vast underground cities hint at a forgotten knowledge erased by time. So, how were these wonders created? Who possessed the knowledge to build them? And what secrets still lie buried beneath centuries of history and mystery? Join us as we look at 15 incredible discoveries from ancient Turkey that challenge our understanding of the distant past. Number 15. Derinkuyu underground city in 1963, a man was not searching for a multi-level underground city, he was just renovating his basement in a small village in southern Turkey. When he knocked through one of the walls, he expected another room. What appeared instead was a narrow passage leading into darkness, and the deeper he went, the harder it became to believe. These weren't just tunnels people hid in during tough times. It was a complete underground city. 18 stories beneath the earth, it could support 20,000 people with their families, livestock, food stores, water, kitchens, schools, wine presses, and everything needed to survive below ground for months. There were dozens of carefully planned shafts that carried fresh air from the surface to every level. Massive circular stone doors, each weighing well over 1,000 pounds, could be rolled across the entrances, but only from the inside. That detail has puzzled researchers for decades. If these doors were built to stop invading armies, why couldn't they be operated from both sides? Derinkuyu is also connected to other underground settlements through long passageways, including one leading toward the nearby city of Kaymakal. But many questions still remain. Who mastered such an efficient underground design without modern technology? Where did millions of cubic feet of excavated rock disappear to? And why was there ever a need to build so deep beneath the earth? Number 14. Gordion. The lost city of legends, this ancient capital of Phrygia, was said to be ruled by the mythical King Midas, the man with the golden touch. But Gordion is more than a place wrapped in legend. Long before its name became linked to myths, it stood as one of the most important cities in central Anatolia. Its most striking feature is the Great Tumulus, a burial mound more than 300 feet wide and nearly 70 feet tall, built over 2,500 years ago. Around it stand dozens of smaller mounds, each preserving another piece of a civilization that reached its height between 800 and 700 BC. Archaeologists have found carefully planned streets, timber-framed buildings, carved wooden furniture, bronze vessels, and finely crafted jewelry, pointing to a wealthy society with trade connections reaching far beyond its borders. But some finds refuse to fit into history. The famous Great Tumulus, traditionally linked to King Midas, contained no human remains when archaeologists entered it. Questions also surround the precision of its stone chamber and the engineering needed to build it. Was this the work of skilled builders, or does Gordion preserve knowledge that vanished long ago? Number 13. The brains that refuse to decay. According to science, human remains aren't supposed to survive like this. Once a person dies, soft tissues such as the brain and skin are usually the first parts to disappear, often long before the bones begin breaking down. That's exactly why archaeologists were stunned when they made this discovery in western Turkey. In 2023, while excavating the Bronze Age settlement of Çatalhöyük in Kütahya province, researchers discovered the remains of a teenage boy and a middle-aged man who had died around 3,700 years ago. But alongside their skeletons was something almost impossible to believe: preserved brain tissue, skin, and other soft remains. Scientists believe the settlement was attacked and destroyed by a massive fire. The intense heat carbonized the bodies before they could fully decompose, while the collapsing buildings buried them beneath ash and rubble, sealing everything away for thousands of years. It wasn't an ancient embalming technique or a carefully prepared burial. It was simply a terrible moment in history that accidentally created one of archaeology's rarest and weirdest discoveries. Number 12. The cursed tombs of Izanoi. Almost every ancient civilization honored its dead. Some built giant pyramids, some raised great stone tombs, or carved entire cemeteries into hillsides. But the people of Izanoi leave the living with one final warning. Scattered around this prosperous Roman city are imposing tombs built from enormous stone blocks, many standing on elevated ground overlooking the surrounding valleys. Their placement alone suggests these were never meant to fade quietly into the landscape. Dating mainly to the 1st century's AD, many contain rectangular burial chambers, vaulted ceilings, carved reliefs, and inscriptions invoking the gods against anyone who disturbed the dead. Similar warnings appear across the Roman world, yet nowhere are they found with such consistency. Some tombs are tucked against rocky slopes or difficult-to-reach places, leading researchers to question whether certain burials were intentionally kept apart from everyone else. Recent surveys have even uncovered previously unknown underground chambers beneath the site. So, were these simply the resting places of wealthy families? Or did they belong to priests or powerful figures whose identities were meant to remain protected? Number 11. Mount Nemrut. A king can build a palace and still be forgotten. Antiochus I chose a mountain. More than 2,100 meters above southeastern Turkey, Mount Nemrut carries the remains of his strange royal dream, a summit filled with giant stone heads, seated gods, royal figures, and a great mound believed to cover his tomb. This was not built where life was easy. It was built where wind, snow, and thin air make even standing there feel difficult. The statues once stood up to 8 meters tall, mixing Greek, Persian, and local traditions in one divine lineup. Antiochus placed himself among the gods, almost as if power on earth was not enough for him. But all good things must come to an end. The great stone mound at the center has never given up its full secret. Attempts to find the burial chamber have not settled the matter, and surveys have only deepened the curiosity. Was Nemrut simply a king's monument, or was it a sacred stage between earth, sky, and the gods? Number 10. The ghost temples of Hattusa. No matter how powerful a civilization becomes, time eventually takes its cities back. But some places seem to hold on longer than others. Hattusa, once the capital of the Hittite Empire, is one of them. More than 3,000 years ago, this city rivaled the great kingdoms of Egypt and Babylon, serving as a center of government, diplomacy, and religion. Today, broken walls, temple foundations, and weathered reliefs are all that remain. But they still leave archaeologists with difficult questions. Around the Great Temple and the nearby sanctuary of Yazilkaya, carvings of gods, kings, and mythical beings survive on stone surfaces, while parts of the complex appear aligned with sunlight during certain times of the year. Clay tablets describe ceremonies dedicated to deities such as the storm god Taruna and the sun goddess Arina, yet they reveal only part of the story. Were these temples built solely for worship, or did they serve other purposes known only to Hittite priests? Modern surveys continue to uncover buried walls and underground chambers, suggesting Hattusa may still have more to reveal. Number 9. The Muse statue that still moves this statue might not grant immortality, but it certainly gave its creator something incredibly close. More than 2,000 years after it was carved, people are still standing in front of it, admiring the skill of an artist whose name has long been forgotten. Archaeologists found this marvelous marble sculpture in the ancient city of Çatalhöyük in western Turkey. It dates back about 2,175 years to the Hellenistic period and represents one of the 9 muses, the mythological figures believed to inspire music, poetry, learning, and the arts. Time hasn't been kind to it. The head is missing, both arms are gone, and parts of the statue have been damaged over the centuries. But none of that takes away from what makes it incredible. The flowing robes seem to twist with every step, making the figure appear as though she is caught in the middle of a dance rather than carved from solid marble. Archaeologists noted that no similar dancing muse had previously been discovered in Turkey, making the find especially valuable. And it is undoubtedly. Number 8. The hidden tombs of the Lycian cliffs. Unlike the ancient Egyptians, who filled the desert with pyramids, the Lycians looked toward the mountains. Their dead were placed high above the world of the living, with entire tombs cut into sheer rock faces overlooking valleys, rivers, and the Mediterranean coast. Some stand so high that reaching them today would make most people think twice. But more than 2,000 years ago, they weren't only carved. They were used, visited, and respected. At places like Myra, dozens of these stone tombs cover the cliffs, giving the mountain the appearance of a silent city. One detail has puzzled researchers for years. While every tomb is carved from solid limestone, many were deliberately shaped to resemble wooden homes, complete with beams, door frames, and sloping roofs. Why preserve the appearance of timber in a material that would last far longer? Was it simply tradition? Or did those familiar shapes carry a meaning now forgotten? Whatever the answer, the people who built them left behind one of Turkey's most perplexing burial sites. Number 7. Karahan Tepe. Long before cities, kingdoms, or even pottery became part of everyday life, people gathered at a place that still challenges archaeologists today. Karahan Tepe in southeastern Turkey is more than 11,000 years old and belongs to the same cultural world as nearby Göbekli Tepe. Yet it has a character all its own. Beneath the soil, excavations have uncovered monumental stone pillars, carved human figures, and chambers cut directly into the bedrock. Some pillars even feature carved arms and hands, making them appear almost human. Archaeologists believe the site dates to a time when communities were still hunter-gatherers, raising an obvious question: why devote so much effort to a place that shows little evidence of everyday living? One possibility is that Karahan Tepe served as a ceremonial gathering place rather than a settlement. Another mystery surrounds the site's deliberate burial. Many structures appear to have been intentionally filled with stone and earth thousands of years ago. Was this simply the end of the site's use? Well, with only part of Karahan Tepe excavated, its full story is still waiting beneath the ground. Number 6. The ancient tomb sealed with bent nails. Most ancient graves contain exactly what you'd expect: bones, pottery, maybe a few personal belongings. This one came with a question that still has no clear answer. While excavating the ancient city of Sagalassos, archaeologists found a 2,000-year-old Roman grave surrounded by more than 40 bent iron nails. They weren't part of a coffin, nor had they been dropped there by accident. Each nail had been deliberately twisted before being placed around the burial. Historians refer to them as dead nails, objects sometimes used in Roman magical rituals to keep the dead from returning. The person inside had been cremated and buried on the same spot, an unusual practice for the period, suggesting this was no ordinary funeral. Researchers believe the individual may have been wealthy or socially important, but something about the burial clearly worried those who performed it. Similar discoveries have been reported elsewhere in Europe, but this was the first of its kind found in Turkey. Were the nails meant to protect the living, imprison an evil spirit, or fulfill a forgotten ritual? That part is buried with the grave itself. Number 5. Çatalhöyük. Most cities begin with roads, gates, and rulers. Çatalhöyük ignores all of that. About 9,000 years ago, people in central Turkey built a settlement where houses pressed against houses with no streets between them. To enter, people climbed across rooftops and dropped down through openings above. Life happened under the same roof as death, because many families buried their dead beneath the floors where they cooked, slept, and lived. That alone makes Çatalhöyük feel different from almost anything that came after it. Its walls carried paintings of animals, hunting scenes, odd symbols, and human figures whose meanings are still debated. Thousands may have lived there, yet archaeologists have found no clear palace, no royal tomb, no obvious ruler standing above the rest. So, how did a crowded settlement survive for centuries without the usual signs of command? Was this one of humanity's earliest experiments in community, belief, and shared space? Or did its people follow a social order we still do not understand? Number 4. The language no one knew existed. Every language that disappears takes part of history with it. Most are gone forever, leaving behind nothing but names in old records, if that. That's why archaeologists were so surprised by a discovery made in 2023 at Hattusa, the ancient capital of the Hittite Empire. While studying thousands of clay cuneiform tablets, researchers came across several written in a language nobody had ever identified before. Today it is known as Karahan, named after the ancient region of Kalasma in what is now northwestern Turkey. Linguists believe it belongs to the Anatolian branch of the Indo-European language family. Yet, it had remained completely unknown until these tablets came to light. The discovery adds another piece to the puzzle of the Hittite world, revealing just how diverse the empire may have been. It also raises new questions. How many people spoke this language? Why did it disappear? And how many others are still waiting to be found inside tablets that have been sitting silently beneath the earth for thousands of years? Number 3. The forgotten town of ancient Lycia Sidima is the kind of place where the missing pieces are just as important as the ones we've found. Sitting high in the mountains of ancient Lycia, in what is now southwestern Turkey, this quiet city has been slowly giving up its story for generations. Archaeologists have uncovered stone-paved streets, a theater overlooking the valley, rock-cut tombs, and beautifully carved sarcophagi. Yet many of its biggest questions remain unanswered. Greek inscriptions identify some of the people buried here, while countless other tombs reveal nothing at all. Why were certain graves richly decorated and others left almost plain? The city also relied on an advanced system of aqueducts and cisterns, but parts of that network have never been fully mapped. Researchers have also found carvings and artifacts that don't neatly match the styles usually associated with ancient Lycia, hinting that Sidima may have been influenced by cultures beyond its mountain valleys. The city never grew into a famous capital, yet that's exactly what makes it so fascinating. Every excavation answers one question, and quietly replaces it with another. Number 2. The bread that changed the history of baking. We wouldn't look twice at a burned piece of bread. Archaeologists did, and it turned out to be one of the oldest loaves ever discovered. At Çatalhöyük, one of the world's earliest farming settlements, researchers uncovered a small, charred piece of bread dating to around 6600 BC. When scientists examined it under a microscope, they found clear signs that the dough had been fermented before it was baked. That single detail changed the story. For many years, ancient Egypt was widely credited with producing the earliest leavened bread around 1500 BC. This loaf pushes that history back by nearly 5,000 years. More importantly, it suggests the people living in central Anatolia already understood techniques that required planning, patience, and practical knowledge long before anyone expected. Sometimes history changes because of a grand monument or a royal tomb. Other times, it happens because someone noticed an ordinary piece of food that had survived thousands of years beneath the soil. Number 1. The ancient Roman makeup kit beauty trends come and go, but the desire to look your best isn't anything new. Archaeologists learned that firsthand while excavating the ancient city of Issos in southern Turkey. Buried for nearly 2,000 years beside a Roman woman was a carefully arranged collection of cosmetics and personal items. Among the most surprising finds were carved oyster shells that still held traces of red blush and eye makeup, their pigments surviving long after the woman herself was gone. The burial also contained perfume bottles, small cosmetic tools, and pieces of jewelry, offering an unusually personal glimpse into everyday Roman life. It wasn't simply a collection of expensive objects. It reflected daily habits, personal taste, and the importance of appearance in Roman society, where cosmetics could signal status, confidence, and social identity. Well, that's all from us. What do you think about these ancient finds from Turkey? Which one surprised you the most? Let us know, and be sure to give this video a like and subscribe. We'll see you soon.